Ladies and gentlemen, ears of corn all over the internet and indeed the world. Welcome to the Corn Chronicles. The search continues. Tonight, my guest is the full maximum K-Sweet Kevin Montgomery.
See, we're already getting problematic right off the bat.
And just like that, we are off to the races. Kevin, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Pretty well. Better since you asked.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. I love to hear that. Kevin is a dear friend of mine from my days at York College. What's cool is after York, Kevin spent some time in Queens, so we also have a great deal of post-college memories that certainly I treasure, and certainly look forward to touching on a few of them today, and just getting to know Kevin a bit, man. One of the lovely things about the series, man. Love it.
Well, thank you. Like I said before we started recording, this is my first podcast appearance, so I'm here for it. Baby
boy, it's poised to be the first of many, man. They're about to have you on for the full Durham analysis every year, I'm
sure. I can quote from that movie too much more than I'd like to. Although I haven't memorized his soliloquy. For anyone who's seen the movie, there's the great, and I'm already going off the rails, but there's the great scene where, Annie Savoy, played by Susan Sarandon, she goes, "Well, Crash, what do you believe?" And he goes, "Well, I believe in the soul." And he goes, and it ends with, "I believe in long, slow, wet, sloppy kisses that last 3 days." Like that's, I still haven't memorized that one in full, but one of these days I'll get that.
Yeah,
Anyway, back on course.
Yeah, dude, as if there is a course, man. You know me. Surely you've heard the radio shows in the past, the namesake with Dennis. Kevin, let's start with the real basics, man. Let's talk about what drew you to York College of Pennsylvania. Yeah, man.
That's the can of worms right there. What drew me? One, proximity to home. It was just far enough away from home that I was technically going away for college, but just close enough that I could duck home when I needed to, both for, seeing family and all that, but also I had a kind of flexible job that I could pop in and do a few shifts, like whenever I needed cash or beer money. So that was, that was an added benefit. What drew me there is they had a program in music recording technology. That was, and the funny thing is, I didn't go in with that major. I went in with a communications major because I would have had to audition for the music program, and I don't know why I didn't do it. It was intimidating. I was 18. I was a bit of a bitch. Whatever you want to say. Yeah.
Not my words, man. Not my words.
No, hey.
For the music program either.
hey, full admission. So I was like, yeah, I spent 3 days in intro communications classes, and I was like, no, I don't want to do this. I want to be a music major. So I was like, all right. So I went and talked to all the department heads and all that. Schreiner, was that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he die?
Not that I'm
okay. I feel awful. I feel awful even asking that.
Right.
But
the show's over.
I went and talked to him and basically rejiggered my class schedule. I was a first semester music major and took all the lessons and all that shit. And, ended up after my first semester, they admitted me to the program. So I was like, all right, whatever. In retrospect, maybe too candid, but I don't really care. In retrospect, the program at the time was super shoddy. It ended up being a bit of a joke. The core music department itself was great. And all the friends I made in that, all the faculty in the core music program were phenomenal. But I was looking for the tech component, whatever, and a lot of that at the time was DIY. But by the time that the what's the word I'm looking for? By the time the glass shattered on that, I was already too far in. So I was like, let's let's just finish this degree out and figure it out. So yeah, that's basically what drew me there. I only applied to one other school, which was Temple, and I got accepted. But again, back to being too big of a bitch. Like, I didn't want to move to North Philadelphia when I was 18 years old because big scary city, big scary city. So it was, yeah, it's dicey.
It is an intimidating spot. Dennis lived like right outside of Temple, and he was like giving me guidance on like what streets not to park on. I'm like, oh, well, and he's like, no, they're not going to tow you.
Yeah, I was going to say, you'll show up tomorrow and your car's on cinder blocks.
Exactly, man. It was, and Dennis, and at this point, some of the listeners know Dennis, but like Dennis had this way of saying like, no, they're not going to tow you necessarily.
Towing's the least of your worries.
Exactly, man. Yes, indeed. So was there ever a formal auditioning, or you just kind of,
So I was blessed by a snowstorm. So I don't know if you remember this, but our freshman year, going into winter break, there was a huge snowstorm and like finals were canceled. And
okay, yeah, absolutely.
So my audition was supposed to be my jury. They called them juries. Like, you go and you sit, play before a panel, like, a selected piece, and they give you like scales and shit to play. So my audition was supposed to be my jury, and it got canceled. But you'll also probably remember, and anyone who went to York College who was in the music program, which is like all 6 of you that are, that's not, sorry, that was dickish. That's not a cut at your listenership.
There's only 4. No.
So there was always the Friday afternoon recitals at 3:00, and it was like, so I did one of those, and like I was just on that day, and I like crushed it, and again, dinging my own bell, but I crushed that. So like, by virtue of like having good grades in all my music classes and like doing that one recital and crushing it, they were just like, yeah, we're good. That we'll consider that your audition. So
dude, brilliant, man. Sweet.
Yeah, it worked out. I hate performing in front of people, so it's that's why I was a music business major, because I don't know, I don't want to be a performer. That's not what I'm here for.
Animal, man. By all means, it really is.
Yeah. So
it's weird that you brought up that snowstorm, because it's not something I think about a lot. But when you brought it up, that was when finals had been canceled.
Mm-hmm.
They said obviously you can leave early, and
right,
and Steve and love Steve. I love Steve. It was such a, I don't even know how to phrase it. Steve was very excited about leaving early, but it sounds so stupid to say in hindsight, but technically Rhapsody rehearsal was still on. And so, exactly, you can laugh. I get it. And believe me, any other day, and I love Rhapsody with all my heart. I got 2 T-shirts that prove it.
Sure.
But any other day, I would have said, like, yeah, F Rhapsody. I'm going home. It's nice to be home at that time.
Sure.
Surprise my family, all that stuff. But that was the night that they were going to audition Ants Marching. And again, dude, this sounds so weird to say in hindsight, but my perspective in that first semester of Rhapsody was genuinely, I'm telling Steve, which is laughable in hindsight, but I'm telling Steve, like, Steve, this is the only solo I'm ever going to go out for. I really want to do it. You know what I'm saying? And
sure.
I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, because, like, I get that you're right. Like, I get that this sounds stupid coming out of my mouth, but, like, if this is the only thing that I'm ever going to do. And it winds up not being true. I wind up auditioning.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just remember, like, Steve looking at me like, I understand, but you're an idiot. And I'm like, you're right, but you have to understand, and it was really
two thoughts on that. One, it's very unbecoming thinking of Steve as the voice of reason.
Yes.
And 2, in 3 things. 2, in this day and age, it's funny to think of, like, an in-person thing can get put on hold. And number three, like, think about like video conferencing and video, teleconferencing and things like that were like space age technology in 2008. Like,
Yeah.
we're not doing this in 2008. Like,
Not at all, dude.
That's wild. Like, the iPhone had been out for like 2 years at that point. Like, it's crazy to think about that amount of time has passed. Like,
and it's crazy to think about with the way technology grows that big picture, it hasn't been that much time.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And like,
I was rocking my flip phone. I was still paying like 25 cents per text message. Like, I was literally telling people, like, I was that guy that was telling like Brett when I first met him and Addie when I first met her. It's just like, hey, like, cool, like, here's my number. It's not the end of the world if you text me, but like, even if you're just saying like, let's go to dinner, like, if you can give me a call.
Right.
Because my dad would just like, I don't blame him. I'm not judging my dad at all.
No, absolutely.
Like, okay, your text total is this much,
It's insane. Like, and like, I think about that. I think I had like 200 texts a month or something that were covered under the plan. And then after that, yeah, it was like 25%. I remember I racked up like a $50 bill one time, like on texting. I was like, Jesus Christ, what was so important?
Exactly. I was like looking like, am I popular? Like, what's the?
It's like, no, I'm not. This is just like rapid, inane bullshit. Like, it's insane.
I eat dinner with the same 9 people every night and talk to 5 girls. Like, that's it. Like, that's my life.
Oh, 5 Lothario over here.
5, no, dear. I said that. They know who they are. No.
Do they know who each other are? That's the question.
No, it wasn't.
Oh my.
Oh goodness me.
Oh, you walked right into that one.
Yeah, I did. But no, it was nothing like that.
I know.
So, Kevin, one of the things, and it's cool that you took us down the rabbit hole of your path to the Merc Major and, almost your reluctance to perform, which, if you don't mind me saying, over the course of us getting to know each other, it may not be my place to say it, and I may not be half as right as I think I am, but it's cool to kind of, in certain spots, watch you kind of lax on that a little bit. Being able to, certainly as we became closer in college and beyond, we weren't necessarily playing out, but it was definitely more common for you to kind of pick up a guitar and kind of tunes with me. And even very recently with your quarantine series, playing Jeff Tweedy, man.
Oh man, that's stir craziness, like, through and through. I get what you're saying, and the funny thing is, at least like, it's weird because like in college it was different. Like with like anything saxophone related. Now, full disclosure, I haven't played my saxophone in probably 6 years. Like, I have it, I use it as like like a drink holder at the edge of my couch. So it's, but like, the funny thing is like, this is gonna sound really arrogant, but like, I knew I was good at it. Like that, so I don't, like, my performance anxiety with that was not from like thinking I had a lack of skill. It's like, I knew I was good, I just didn't like it. In terms of like guitar and singing and everything, I always say like, I can stay on pitch, I just don't like my voice, and that's why I don't perform out, like, or before quarantine, like I didn't perform out a lot. Like, if I was at a place with an open mic night and there was a lull in the thing, I was like, yeah, shit, I'll throw my name up, like, whatever. Or if I was loaded, I'll just be like, yeah, let me get up and play. But
provoker of all things.
I've always questioned myself with that. So that, like, that's, and that's why I like playing with you specifically, because then I could just like, I could be your backup. I'm your dude sitting in the corner, just like providing the music for the person with an actually good voice. Like, that was where I was more comfortable, is, being in the shadows, being the support, not being the, I don't like attention. which is weird that I'm even fucking doing this because like I don't really like drawing attention on myself. I like to fly below the radar. So anyway,
well, makes it mean
I don't know if that answered your question, but those were my thoughts on that.
Sure does, man. And I'll tell you, man, the first time I knew that to be in the Merc major, you had to have some level of talent. And further, just to like hear you speak, you knew that there was, I don't want to say a performer there, but certainly there was a knowledge base of music and what it took to kind of, it was interesting to speak to you about music, which is talent.
Well, I mean, again, to get into the realm of arrogance, I remember in music history, music history was the only class that did, I think theory did this too. They would anonymously post the grades up like on, for like exams and stuff. And again, arrogance, but like I crushed it on that stuff. Like I was like, I was getting 90s and 92s and 94s and stuff on like half the list is like chilling in the 70s. I'm like, how's the recording guy like getting better theory grades than, I feel like an asshole even saying that, but it's just like, I don't know, for some reason, like that stuff always clicked with me. Now I couldn't even tell you what the circle of fifths is nowadays because my brain's mush from, working in media for 9 years. But, at the time that stuff all just kind of clicked.
Mm-hmm. But I'm with you on that. I mean, I never pursued music in any real fashion, and then performing was kind of a different animal for me, and I kind of.
Well, but exactly because it was something you enjoyed, so it's good that you never made it something that was like your academic success relied on, or your in post college world that your monetary like your living relied on. Like that was one thing that like that really sunk in real quick after college was like keep your hobbies and your work. Like separation of church and state with that is like, and there's some people that pull it off. Not me. I couldn't pull it off. So
I'll tell you, man, it's weird that you say that. There's not a ton of people from my high school that I keep in touch with that I'm not very close with. Like when it comes to people from high school, either like we're family or it's not. You know what I'm saying? There are not a lot of outliers anymore.
Yeah.
But also we're 31. What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like
obviously. 32.
Woo, baby, I'm so young. But every now and again, somebody will ask me like, "Hey, dude, like, why didn't you pursue like theater and things like that?" You know what I'm saying? And I look at them and I say to them like, one, to be successful in theater, you need to be good at singing, acting, dancing, and I couldn't dance for anything. But two,
I find that hard to believe.
Oh, baby, I could do my own thing, but if we're counting like, there's a video, and
it's was fucking Weekend at Bernie's.
I'm alive, baby. I'm alive. But there's this video of one of my performances where I'm partnered with this girl, and usually I was very fortunate to be a lead for a lot of the shows. And one of the perks of being a lead, if you find the right role, is you don't actually have to do the dancing.
Humble brag.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. I guess. Whatever, man. It was what it was. You're putting me in
No. I'll shut up now. Go. Just go.
But there's this one dance where I just had to be like part of the crowd. And when I have to be part of the crowd, when it comes to dancing, like I was always big on like, let's go to the back. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not very good.
Yep.
I was partnered with a girl, lovely girl named Carrie Brennan. And Carrie is like, oh, like, let's be in the front. And I'm just like, okay, And so bottom line, like I'm there in the front and you can see on this video, this one dance. I'm like behind the lead person who's singing, and you can literally see the focus on my face and see me like counting like 1, 2, and so I'm like doing the dance, and everyone else is like doing it like cheery and things like that, and I'm just like, you know, like you can see the focus.
Just straight up mechanical.
Exactly. And as soon as I saw that, I was just like, thank God I'm not pursuing that as a career.
Man, it's crazy. I mean, like, dude, I mean, you just made me think of Party Down. Like, you ever watch Party Down?
I don't think so.
It's Adam Scott and oh God, he's basically the main character, but Jane Lynch is in it, like a bunch of other people. Basically, it was on Showtime for like 2 seasons and it got canceled. It was hilarious. Like, it's basically this company, like this catering company in Los Angeles or like, you know, the LA area. And basically it's all, you know, wannabe actors and writers and shit that are working for this catering company. So it's like, I mean, it's satirical, but it does like, you know, paint the picture of like, you know, yeah, it's like, this is the reality for a lot of people who move out here to like do this. And like, you know, good on you for, you know, trying to do it for anyone. But it's also, you know, there's something to be said for people, again, this is super arrogant, but good on people like you and I who like recognize that and realize that, hey, this ain't in the cards. Like, you know, you could be fucking Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours, whatever. Like, you know, but there's something to be said about some people just have God-given talent that, you know, their 10,000 hours is already on a fucking pedestal, like before they even start. Like, you know, it's anyway, tangent.
For me with performance too, like I was always very big on if the lights are on, I'm all about contributing to that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if the lights were off, like I was always kind of a more quiet kid. Believe me, man.
Right.
Like, until about 10th grade, like I don't think I said more than 2 words to anybody unless I was on the stage. And as soon as you start putting yourself in a context of people that are pursuing those kind of things in earnest, you'll find, or I have found, that the time off the stage kind of blurs. And like people are just kind of like always in like this attention mode that like I was never really about. And the flip side with me is like, if you said like, Tom, you're performing, then I would be that guy. I'm never going to look you in the eye and say like, I didn't feed off a crowd or anything like that. You know that better than anybody.
Well, the funny thing is that like the further you progress into your career, and like I talk like some wise old sage, I've been in the working world for what?
You're 32, baby.
32. Like I'm not, you know, but it's like you begin to realize that everything you do work-wise is a performance.
Yep.
Like it's just you're not on a stage, you're not in front of lights. Like, you know, it's not like you're being a fake person, but it's like, you know, I try and stay genuine to myself, you know, to my personality. And I got sirens going and shit in the background. Like you try and stay genuine and authentic to yourself, like in your professional environment. But at the same time, it's like no one's this uptight. No one's this like primed up. So like everyone's acting, like, you know, and you have to, like, or I don't know, maybe you don't, but I don't know. I feel like I'm acting. Like, again, I play it pretty fast and loose with like work wise, but like, I don't know. I definitely feel like I'm putting on an act whenever I'm going into a conference call or a meeting or an email. Like, it's like, God, who is this tool that's talking? Like, you know.
No, not a tool. It's definitely aspects of yourself that are turned up to 11. I wouldn't consider it.
Okay, that's a nicer way to put it, is amplifying certain traits. Okay, I'll give you that.
That's all it is. I don't think there's a, you know, speaking for myself, I work with some of the loveliest people in the world in the past, now.
Sure.
I don't think there's anything about my interaction with them that's fake. I think there are certain things that you have to lean into.
Oh, I wouldn't go so far. I wouldn't go so far as to say fake like that. Maybe, well, just kidding. Maybe sometimes I'm definitely fucking fake. Like that's, yeah. But such is life. But yeah, no, I get that. But no, to the larger point is like, we're all performing. Like it's just, we're not all on a stage. And it's what I say about like my job and like my role and my team in general is like, we're not creative in the sense of like arts and crafts and paint and like, Photoshop. We're creative in storytelling and numbers, like, or, people are successful with it. It's just, it's not creative by the cookie cutter definition. It's like, but there's still ways that you can be exactly. Some people find nuance and creativity in the depths of an Excel sheet. Like that's
I feel like I'm always learning new things about Excel. That's a different call. But man, like I'm not even saying that for anybody's benefit. Excel's freaking magic.
It is, and again, it's like at its base, it's like Stone Age technology. Like it's like, oh man, I feel like a wizard because I did a V lookup on the first try. Like, oh,
exactly. But it's just like it's the Rosetta Stone. Like you're maybe old, but you're still figuring out new languages with it. That's how I feel.
Never stop learning.
Indeed, dude. Kevin, I want to switch gears real quick.
Yes. Yeah, please. We're going off the rails. So.
Exactly. There is one facet about you that I'm very interested in.
Oh God.
No. But what you might not know is there's something that you used to say that I used to get a kick out of, and you used to say this all the time when you were living. I'm not pausing because of this. You were living. I'm trying to think of the name, but don't tell me the name. You were living with Greg and Jay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the name of the street. Was it Virginia?
Virginia Avenue. 820 Virginia Avenue.
Look at me. See? All right. So there's something you used to say all the time, which I used to absolutely love. Like I really almost got you like a coffee mug that said this.
Oh God. What?
Spices are communal. Every time somebody was like preparing something, and part of it's Jade, who you know is lovely, you know what I'm saying? Would just be like, oh, Kevin, can I use this? And you would be like, spices are communal, like a freaking like sounded like Jeffrey.
I had no idea. I had no idea that had such a profound impact on me. No, it's true though. It's true that things like spice in a roommate situation, spices, condiments, spices and condiments. It's like you don't write your name on the goddamn ketchup bottle. Like it's like, okay, you need a squirt of ketchup, like go for it. Like, and if you use it up, you replace it. Like that's called being a decent human being and living in a society. Like if it's all, you replace it. Like that's oh God, man, I didn't know.
Dude,
so one, I don't remember saying that, but two, that absolutely sounds like something I would say. So and three, it's 100% true to how I feel. So that's
agreed.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
But dude, that's not 100%. God knows I wasn't going to bring this up without talking about that. But that's not what I wanted to kind of talk about. You've always, in my experience, you've always kind of known your way around the kitchen. And there have been some things that I've learned. Certainly, I don't think I was ever truly inept in the kitchen.
Is this gonna be about the sad omelet? Is that what you're leading up to?
Ooh, okay, yeah. Why don't you?
I'm sorry to derail you, but
please, no. Why don't you tell me? I feel like you got into knowing your way around the kitchen at an earlier time in life than most people did. And I'm curious what kind of drew you to that. How'd you kind of get started with that? And also then we can wrap up with the sand omelet real quick.
All right. Well, first off, I'm going to say the sad omelet story. So you and I are sitting around watching Anthony Bourdain, may he rest in peace, watching not Parts Unknown, no Reservations. Good God, how that's blasphemy that I forgot that. And they did this one like kitchen techniques special, right? So you and I are watching. I don't even know why you were over at my house at like 3 p.m, like on a school day, whatever.
Did I need a reason, man?
I guess not. I suppose not. So we're watching that, and it's this kitchen technique special, and he has, he kicks it over to this like French guy. I forget who it was at this point. Like it's probably some famous chef. You could probably find on YouTube. Anyway, and he shows you how to make an omelet, right? And basically, all this omelet consists of is, slow cooked, lightly, gently cooked eggs, topped with diced chives. And you just said after it was done, like, that was the saddest omelet I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but like, when I think back about that, I'm like, oh man, that's such a stupid American thing. Is like, you think of an omelet as like the crispy brown edges, like at a diner, which also is like, I don't consider that an omelet. That's not an omelet for me. Like that's a souffle, not a souffle. That's a, what's the thing that's not a quiche, but it's not like, what's it called? Anyway, whatever. But like, the more I think about it, like, technically that was an omelet. It's just a French omelet. It's not like your Denver omelet. It's not like an American diner omelet. I always think about that. Like, almost every time I make eggs, I'm just like, I should make one of those sad omelets that Tom just hated.
Just chive. Like, what are you doing with it, man? Like,
just chive. I mean, but that's one thing Anthony Bourdain said in his books is like that, one of the first tests he gives a new cook is, make me scrambled eggs, and like how, like, because scrambled eggs are hard. Scrambled eggs are difficult. Like, and if you think it's not difficult, you've probably been eating shitty scrambled eggs your whole life. Like cooking, I don't know. Like I always, like my mom taught me, and that was what it was. Like, she had, I have an older brother, she had 2 sons. She was like, I'm going to raise my sons to be self-sufficient. Like, they're going to be able to cook, they're going to be able to clean, yada, yada. And I always enjoyed it too. Like, and I worked as a line cook at the restaurant I worked at in high school and through college. And then I became a server, and I was like, after serving for like 2 months, or 2 months, 2 years, whatever, I was just like, good God, put me back in the kitchen. I'm tired of dealing with people. Like, but they wouldn't let me back in the kitchen. Like, I was like, that sucks. But I don't know. Then as I got older, it was just like a good way to stay busy. And, it's cathartic, like coming home and just like chopping an onion. Like after you have a rough day and like you're thinking a lot, you're like,
it's your reason to cry. No.
Okay. This is
I miss you, Kev.
Touche.
I miss you so much, bro.
You're always quicker. You're quicker to the punch than me with that. I was gonna say it was like I can say I was chopping onions, but really I was just crying from my day. I don't know. I like to eat, so, and yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty. There's not really any profound thing behind this. Like, I like to eat, and I like to cook, and what the hell else am I gonna do after work? Like, and that's been the great thing about like working from home is like I'm not pissing away 2 hours a day commuting, an hour each way. It's like, I get home from that, and it's like I have no energy to cook. But like now, it's like, oh, okay, you shut it down for the day, and oh, okay.
Jump right in.
Listen, yeah. I have this whole hour back that, like, yeah, it was bizarre at first because I was like, it's 7 o'clock and I'm finished with dinner. Like, what do I do now?
Yeah, dude.
Like,
Shoot, like I'll hop and I'll make some like salmon burgers real quick on like my lunch, man. It's really, I mean, I wouldn't wish to quarantine obviously on anybody, you know. I don't mean it like that. But
right.
it's been, it's been very cool to kind of be able to flex those muscles a little bit. By all means.
Exactly. What'd you have for dinner?
Tonight, I had made a little mac and cheese, just the craft stuff, but still put it in the pot. And I always throw some jalapenos in there. I tried throwing some lox in.
Some what?
Lox. Like salmon, lox, L-O-X.
Oh, lox. Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was worth the shot. I didn't hate it. Well, actually, no. The truth is, actually, I quite liked it, but I felt like the flavors didn't like match. They just kind of competed with each other, and it was just like these flavors are good.
I don't like lox. I don't like. So that sounds absolutely like. That makes me gag a little bit just thinking about that.
No doubt. Well, that's why I didn't invite you to do it. That's all.
Well, shit. I mean, if I hadn't been imbibing, I would just get in my car right now and drive up and prove a point and just show up and be like, "Where's your leftovers, bitch?" At first, I'd have to locate. I'd have to locate Medford on the map. So.
Yeah, exactly. Tom, I'm in Patcho. Bring your locks to me.
bring your locks and craft to me.
I have beer. Kevin, we've seen quite a few concerts together, and I kind of want to shift gears to that a little bit.
Yeah.
We've seen the Police Brothers together 3 times.
Yes, we have.
Which I didn't know.
3 times?
I feel like it was 3, right? We saw them, because we saw them together at either the Strand, right?
At the Strand.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Brooklyn Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
So the one at Brooklyn Bowl, the districts opened up for them, and I was in love.
Yeah.
It was like love at first note.
You know what's really funny is, like, don't take this personally, I forgot you were at that show because my friend Adam was there, and he had just speaking of beards, him and his girlfriend / now wife had just started dating, and we went to that show, and I remember they had a little tiff, and I went back with Adam, and I just remember just like we had like this real heart to heart after that show about he was like, "Oh man, I love this girl, like I'm bummed we're fighting, like blah blah," and I was just like, "Yeah man, she's great, you're great, like you guys are awesome," like, and 4 years later they're married or whatever it was. That's what I remember from that show the most.
Right. And that's what was unique about that show, because I was there with my buddy Zach, and Zach and I wanted to go, not like the front, but we wanted to go in, and you were just like, "Guys, I'm going to hang back." And it was just one of those things where it was like, I was at a show with you, but like I wasn't at a show with you. And then I remember from the Strand show, you were so, you say you're not a dancer, but you were dancing in the aisles like a madman. I remember that. And when Greatest Show on Earth came on, you were just like, you were so amped. You're like, "This is my song. I love this song. It's my favorite song." And like, you were just bawling out. Like I do go into a different mode during concerts. That much is true.
I will say though, and this is one that you weren't at, and a little bit of a humble brag, but Maxwell's in Hoboken was like a renowned music venue, They closed down once, and then they reopened, and they closed down again. But like before the first time they closed down, probably 8 years ago, I got tickets to see the Fleece Brothers there. Now this room is probably 200 people max. This is, you know, pre-social distancing. Had tickets to see them. They didn't have an opener, whatever. So Adam and I are at the show, and like all of a sudden, like the lights go down, like this funny little dude in a weird hat like walks up on stage, like grabs a guitar. He goes, "Hey, my name's Connor. I'm gonna play a few songs." So Connor Oberst was the surprise opener at this Felice Brothers show. Did like 3 songs, and then just like hung out in the audience afterwards, and then got up and did a couple songs. And I'm like, by later in the set, like he was loaded. Like, so they were just like dancing around. They played like Springsteen covers. Like, it's on YouTube. Like, if you just look up Connor Oberst Maxwell's, like you'll see like, you know, some pretty good recordings. But yeah, that like, you weren't at that one, and I'm bummed you weren't at that one, but that was probably the best Felice Brothers show I ever saw, because like it was like a month before this like iconic rock venue was supposed to shut down. Like, you know, I didn't get to CBGB's, I didn't get to Roseland Ballroom or any of that type of stuff, but like I got to Maxwell's before it closed down, so that was, you know, that was a big moment for me. What were you saying?
At that Strand show, Jay Felice hopped down and just like grabbed the beer and like walked through the crowd and back. And yes, dude, it was so beautiful. And then we saw, I forget the name of the venue, but in Rockville Center, we saw the Felice Brothers and Deer Tick right before Halloween.
The night before Halloween.
And
yeah.
And I hate that I bought it, because you can't read it. I still have a shirt from that night, and I look back on it with great memories, but like it literally just looks like a brown shirt with like orange smearings on it. You can't read it. If you like stopped me in the street and said, "Let me read your shirt," like we would be there for 30 minutes. Stuff like that bothers me. But of course, like in the limelight of the damn show, I'm just like, I must preserve this memory. And now it's just like awful. But
no, full admission, I was pretty tuned up at that, so I
remember that. Yeah, I wasn't gonna bring
that up. I don't really remember the Deer Tick set, but a few years after, someone had recorded that show, and I found the recording of that show, and I was like, oh man, like I got to go back and relive the show that like I don't remember. Because it was funny, because I remember the Felice Brothers at that show. They didn't dress up, but they decided to be a cover band. They were the Traveling Wilburys. Yeah. So I remember they played a couple Traveling Wilburys covers. I'm so tired of being alone. Yeah, I was just like, oh, that's really cool. Like that's a great song. I mean, you know, you think about it though, it's like they had one album and like there was like 3 good songs.
Well, they touched on them, you know.
not to like this, but anyhow.
And Deer Tick played, and even though you were more tuned up than the bands were, it was still nice to see Deer Tick with you, because I remember when Facebook and Spotify were the same thing. All I saw was just like genuinely a list. They used to have like the real time Facebook updates, whether you liked it or not.
Yeah.
And literally, it would just be like, Jack Zangara is listening to this on Spotify. And like, in fairness, what was cool about Facebook then, it was more than like link sharing, you know, like it was people.
Right.
Even if it was still like banal shit, you know, like who the hell am I to say like what Facebook content should be? Because if you read my Facebook statuses, they're not going to make sense to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not judging anybody, but at that time, it was very much like, Brian Johnson says this, not like Brian Johnson has shared a link, and
right,
which is what I thought was cool, you know, because that's social. Everything else is just kind of
yeah.
is what all the rest of it.
Well, I think the point of Facebook at this point is, it's what Facebook wants it to be. Like that's,
Right.
yeah.
But my point is, genuinely, when they had this real-time ticker of just like what people were doing, which wasn't very interesting for anybody, it would genuinely say like, Kevin is listening to Deer Tick song. Kevin is listening to Deer Tick song. Kevin is listening to Deer Tick song. And so we reached a point where we got back from a break, and I said to him, and
Well, yeah, that would have been.
ooh, I'm sorry, I'm losing you a little bit.
Oh, I'm still here.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay. That would have been right around that time. And I remember I got back to him. I was like, it may have been like this, like, stupid. Well, not stupid, but this, like, naive. I was just like, hey, Kev, I noticed you listen to Deer Tick a lot. Would I like them? And Kevin's just like, oh, yeah. Like, Kevin just lit up. He's just like, let's start here, you know?
Well, it's so funny that like I didn't know anything about them until I moved to New York, and I had my first job in New York. I had a car, and I don't even know how I stumbled upon it, but WFUV, Fordham's NPR station, were playing them like nonstop. I was like, oh, this is really good. Like I'm gonna, and this was right around the time Spotify came out. So I was like, yeah, okay, like I'll check this out. And then I just got hooked and like,
Baby boy.
hook, line, and sinker. That's,
Indeed, man. Couple other shows we've seen together. One of my favorite, which I know is not going to resonate to you, or at least not as much, but I'm curious if you heard it at all, is
I'm curious what you're going to say.
we actually saw the same Fish concert at Governor's Island, maybe Governor's Island, I don't know.
Yep.
And that was
Randall's.
And it's tough to put that concert into words for me. And if you don't mind me being self-indulgent for a minute,
Please. It's your show.
Yeah, right? Good Lord. But I was doing my international education job, which was very much a job where like weekend or night or whatever the hell you were doing, you had to have your phone on.
Mm-hmm.
Because things came up, and I'm not going to get into things that came up, but things always came up. I forgot my phone in the Ronkonkoma train station parking lot as I was going in my car, but I was going to Randall's Island, and all these kids are still kind of abroad, and they're here in the U.S. abroad, and like all this stuff is still going on. And don't get me wrong, like people only call you when there's emergencies or but there are emergencies all the freaking time.
Right.
So I'm at this concert, and I was always uptight with that job, but especially without my phone, like I was uptight, And like, it took like a real long time for me to just like finally get into. I think literally they played my favorite Fish song is "Punch You in the Eye," and
it's a good one.
Yes, Steve. And they played that for the first song of the second set. And it's the first time, it was like my 7th show seeing them at the time. And it's the first time I'd heard them play it live. And
big moment.
Yes. And that was the first time all day that I was literally just like, you know what? What can you do?
Yeah.
And I just kind of lived it a little bit. But bottom line, all day was very tense. So one of the things with social media now and back then is people can obviously like tag you in photos real time, and it can make you look like you're engaged in something that you're not. So we're at this concert, and my friends Deanna, Ben, I think Emily's there, but certainly Deanna and Ben are coming to mind.
Bucket Ben? Wait, Ben who?
Ben Krause.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. I won't derail. Go.
All right, fair enough. So Oh, he saw the Sufjan show with you, Ben.
Oh, all right, different Ben. Yeah, got it.
Okay. We're gonna get to that show, but uh, so my friends are tagging me in these photos in real time, and you see Kevin. I didn't notice until I got back because I didn't have my phone on me. Poor Kevin is like seeing the photos and saying like, "Hey man, I'm here too. Where are you at?" And literally, I have like, in fairness to Kev, it's not like I'm seen, but I have like 5 texts that say like, "Hey man, like, what section are you in? Like, let's meet up," you know. And on just on all like the photos, there's just like, "Hey man, like I'm here, like let's do it." And I had like a tweet from you, and the funniest thing in the world. It might have been LinkedIn, but bottom line, it was like a random freaking site where literally Kevin like shot me a message on like LinkedIn that said like, "Hey dude, I'm at this show."
Oh my God.
And I get all these back, and I think I called you the next day when I finally had my phone, and I'm just like, "Dude, I'm so sorry, I didn't have my phone," and I was just like, "The last thing in the world I want you to think is that I was trying."
No, not at all. Actually, here, sorry, the sky's pretty dope right now, so I gotta, hold on. Well, I'll share this. Well, you can't really see it. That's pretty cool, right?
Okay, yeah.
Dude, I don't remember that. That's crazy.
I'm fine with that, man. Because that was a low light. I felt really very bad, but like, I came back to a lot of messages from Kev, really pumped about seeing me at this Fish concert that we were both at, and it just never materialized. And I feel
yeah, what's really funny is I was living in Astoria at the time, so like I wasn't even supposed to be at that show. That was probably why I was blowing you up so much. Like I wasn't supposed to be at that show. I didn't buy tickets or anything. I was at Single Cut Brewery earlier in the day, which is in like northern Queens, like it's way up at like the northern end of Astoria. And there was this guy working for them at the time that I had previously worked with at the beer distributor that I worked with. He was doing sales for them. And like, I was like, "Hey," like I hadn't seen him in a couple of years. I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" He's like, "Oh, good, man." Like, you know, I was like, he's like, "Yeah, I was just coming back from Randall's Island at the fish show, like dropping a couple kegs off." I was like, "Oh, cool, man." Like I thought to go into that, like whatever. And he's like, "Oh, do you want to go?" I was like, I'm not opposed to going. And he's like, he like they had given him just like a strip of wristbands for like vendors. So he's just like, "Here, take one of these and just say you're a vendor at the gate and I'll let you in." I was like, "Oh."
Wow.
So like point of the story is like I wasn't even gonna be at that show, and then like I was like, okay, so I walked across the RFK bridge.
Yes, wasn't that a cool walk?
Oh, it's a great walk. I'd biked it before, but like, you know, you walk across it with a bunch of wooks, like, you know, it's.
Don't call me that.
Not you. It's, but you know the type.
I do know the type.
Yeah.
Splendid. And I saw you. One of the cooler concert experiences I had. I try not to be too poetic about seeing live music. I really. That sounds like a weird sentence to say, but
why not? Yeah, I was gonna say, why not?
Because I feel like as soon as it could be kind of all consuming if you kind of approach it like that. I don't know. I mean what I say. I do. But one of the cooler experiences I ever had was going to see the Dave Matthews Band Caravan, which they moved up, or they didn't move up. They canceled like nights 2 and 3 of it.
Because of Hurricane Irene.
Because of Irene, exactly.
Yeah.
And because of that, suddenly there were tickets that you could redeem earlier, and people were kind of left with like, "Hey, we were going to use these tickets tomorrow, but I can't make it." So I happened to be in the city in earnest seeing Medeski, Martin, and Wood.
Mm.
And say what you will, dude, like there are complete gosh darn strangers in this country who know that if they're going to see Dave Matthews Band, like Tom Castro is going to want to come. You know what I'm saying? So, oh no, it's just the freaking truth, man. Like, good lord.
Yeah.
You know? And especially at that time, but even now, my friend Emily, who I love, she'll be her episode will be debuting very, very soon. She gives me a call and she's just like, I heard you're in the city. And that's Emily too. To just like, she doesn't like ask you right off the bat. She's just like, I heard you're in the city. And it could be a rocket. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, I'm like, am I? Like, I'm like looking around for fucking diapers.
Only cops talk like that. If it was wise guys, I'd already be dead.
I heard you're in the city. And I'm just like, yep. You know, as I duck. And she goes, and she's lovely. You know, I love her. And she goes, I have an extra ticket to the Dave Matthews Band caravan if you want. And I'm like, oh shoot, like yeah, I'm already in the city. And she's like, I know. And I'm like, so I go right.
I'm you're glad you had your phone with you that time, huh?
What's that? Yeah.
and you didn't have those 25-cent text messages, so.
Unlimited, baby. I'm sending it one letter at a time. OKAY, bro. No.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
Anyway, and so I meet her there, and for the life of me, I don't know if we connected beforehand or we just happened to like pick up on each other. But like, bottom line, I met Kevin at like a beer vendor stand. And one of the coolest concert experiences I've ever had, and I've had plenty, and I know you've had plenty, was Dave playing Like a Hurricane acoustic as part of the encore, as like those hurricane winds were kind of like picking up a little bit, and you kind of knew the storm was coming. And one, it was very intimate. Two, with the very literal acts of God going on around.
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It was transcendent. And number three is like, I swear to God, he flubbed it twice. You know what I'm saying? And what's cool is like when you, to me, that's what makes music, not what makes music real. That's too much. But like, it made it even more kind of raw. The fact that he just kind of said like, this feels appropriate right now. And there were moments where it was a strong chord. And because he's a pro, he fixes it in a second. You know, like I would have to be like, oops, and look down. Like he just kind of goes, oops, and then just is there.
Yeah.
But that is probably the most profound concert experience I think I've ever had.
I have a different recollection of that night. As I was working at a vendor stand, and that's really awesome. Like I'm not trying to like detract from that. My memory is not as magical of that night because I was working as a vendor at the time at that, and it was on Governor's Island. It was rescheduled to Randall's Island, but when the hurricane was coming in, it was on Governor's Island. So there's one ferry in, one ferry out.
Yes.
Right?
You know that.
So as a vendor, vendors had to wait until they ferried all of the spectators off. So all the people, there were no vehicles allowed on the spectator ferries. So I had to wait there in this goddamn like Sprinter van, like big Sprinter van that was wrapped with the Magic Hat Brewery logo.
Yeah, I remember.
I had to wait until everyone was off of Governor's Island until like it was like 12:30 at night when the hurricane was like starting to come in, that I drove this goddamn Sprinter van onto the ferry and then had to drive it from fucking Battery Park back to Brooklyn and then get home. I got home at like 4 a.m. I was like, yeah, it was cool. I got to see a free Dave show. Like I'm not as big of a Dave fan as you, but I love seeing him every couple years. Like it's always a great show. It's always entertaining. But I was just like, fuck me if I didn't have to just like drive this goddamn van back at 3 in the morning,
With the weather rolling in. Good
with
God.
the weather rolling in. Like, yeah, that was a real welcome to New York moment. Like, that was.
We're here, baby. Oh, dude. And Kev, one of the other cool shows we got to see together.
Yeah, I'm gonna disappear for a minute, but I can still hear you. But I'll be right back.
Excellent. Cool, man.
The beauty of Bluetooth. Go on. I'm listening.
How surreal. You can still hear me. One of the cool things we got to experience was going to see Sufjan Stevens together, which seeing him in any context might be too strong of a word, but it was pretty cathartic to me to kind of hear all the kind of layers of music that he kind of brings to the table. To hear that live was really great. Shoot, to put it mildly, right after the Carrie and Lowell show came on.
Yeah.
It's the only concert I've ever been shushed before, which I probably deserved. I know it might have been Kevin himself, but somebody walked in as like Moses Sumney was playing, and literally all I said was like, "Hey man, nice to see you." And this guy turns around and says like, "I'm trying to listen to this, please." And I'm just like, "Oh."
That's such a King, like that reeks of King's Theater. Like that's exactly the crowd that would be at a Sufjan show at King's Theater. Like,
I got lit up, and it was one of those things where like the guy wasn't wrong, but it was one of those things where it was just like, "Oh, I said hi," you know, like it was one of the, it was really, it was tough to swallow my pride there because hand to God, I was right.
Yeah.
I was like, "How are you doing, dude?" I was just like, "Hey man, nice to see you." And then I literally got shushed, and I was like, just like, you know, like I was frustrated.
Not to divert from that show, but the other show we saw at King's Theater, the Wilco show.
Yeah.
When do you remember how like it was some like jazz guitarist like opening?
Bill Frisell couldn't make
Bill Frisell, we couldn't make it. And then we joked with, like, Steve was in the bathroom and we were just like, "Oh man, Bill Frisell is great." Like, whatever, thinking we could just like get him to go along with it.
Yeah. And we recruited the people behind us. We were just like, "Hey, dude." They like heard what we were doing and they were just like, "Ooh, I like that." And I'm just like, "Want to be in on that?" And they were just like, "Yeah, we want in on that."
As if I recall correctly, he was wise to it. He was like, "Wait, but that's not Bill Frisell." I was like, "Damn it!" Like that.
Well,
that backfired.
One, Steve is very intuitive. Don't get me wrong. But two, like they replaced Bill Frisell with just like a classic rock sound, so it wasn't even like another jazz guitar. So it wasn't really a ruse we could maintain. But it was it was fun to have it going for even a moment.
Fair enough.
Kevin, I want to hear about your thoughts about seeing Sufjan very much in general.
Yeah.
But the punctuation on this night, which I'm sure resonates to me more, but I'm a little more interested in your perspective as just a guy who doesn't know him as well. That was the night of the Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao fight. Yes. Oh, dude. And I love the fact that you're smiling because if this doesn't resonate with you, like I'm going to look like a loon. But that my buddy Zach,
he was so intent. Like he was like dying. He was dying to get to somewhere in Astoria to watch like the end of this fight. Yeah. You could not have two, like the Venn diagram that is Sufjan fans and Mayweather Pacquiao fans. Like he's probably the only person in that overlap. Like that's
it's like the circle of one. They're in the center of that Venn.
Right. I'm sure. Yeah, there are dozens of us. Like that's.
Dude, and I just remember like Zach like really was into it like to the point where he was like running out.
Oh yeah.
He was like running out into the street and like using his hands to like motion the cabs.
Yeah, dude.
I just remember Ben, who's the most stoic dude, and he's brilliant. He's the warmest dude. And I love him so much, but he's just like a reserved man, you know. And the truth is, I could stand to be more like Ben if we're being honest about it. But Ben is just like not under his breath, but he's just like, well, he really wants to see this fight. And for him to say it like that, like he might as well have like parted the Red Sea, and you just have Kevin. Kevin's just there, just kind of like agreeing and just like observing it, but I don't want to speak for him, but I feel like in his heart of hearts, he's just like, I don't know either one of these guys, but this is freaking weird, like.
Yeah, I was like, all right, cool. Like you're rushing to get back to a bar that's still gonna charge you a $20 cover to get in because they spent $1,000 on this pay-per-view fight. Like, have fun. Like, I'm going home. I'm going to bed.
Right.
But I remember from that, like, the coolest thing for me was like, oh, we just saw Sufjan and we just took a cab back on the BQE and like, see this. Like, I don't know. That was at the point where I was like, I was still, I was in New York at like 4 years at that point, and I was just like, I was still like a little slack-jawed when I would take a cab because it's like, oh my god, the skyline, like,
No doubt. Hey man, no need to mock that. I've been there.
And it's pretty damn impressive, but that's the thing. It's like it's nice to look at from a distance. But yeah, I just remember that, and he's like getting updates on his phone, like in the back of the cab, because I remember I rode Shoddy in the cab on the way back because we were all going back to Astoria.
Right.
Like,
it's like it's about to start, and I'm just like, who can it was so bizarre, dude. It was the most surreal thing because it just kind of came out of the blue. And I'm like, I remember very distinctly, Steve Marullo was at that show too with his friend. Like, he wasn't with us.
Yep, I remember that. I remember going down and talking to him. And it was his random lady friend, like, not to blow up his spot or anything, but
And I remember saying like, oh yeah, let's see how Steve's doing it. And Zach's just like, nah, man, I want to see this fight. And I'm just like, why? Like, what the hell happened? Like, I was literally just like, where is Zach? Like. And Ben's like, I gotta use the bathroom. And Zach's like, oh, and I'm just like, what? Like the man's gotta use the bathroom. Like, what the hell? Oh, dude, so funny. In the moment, I was just like, what's going on? But like in hindsight, dude, because I haven't seen him like that beforehand, and I haven't seen him like that since. And I've never watched a boxing match since that night. But,
well, the funny thing is, I had definitely met him before that, but that was a different side. That was a different side.
It was a different side for everybody, man, and I've known him for 20 years.
Yeah, in retrospect, maybe he was like, that was his fight to even up with the bookie. Like, dude was coming to break his kneecaps tomorrow if he didn't hit that bet.
Maybe, boy. Looks like he came
maybe
on the right side, thank God. Good.
Maybe.
Well, he's still walking.
just theorizing here,
Just spitball. Yeah, just cutting some onions. Kevin, there's one story that I have to tell you, and if you remember it, you're a legend, but I don't think you will.
Oh God.
No, this has to do with me. There are two things in my college career.
Don't underestimate me.
There are two things in my college career that I regret. One, taking French when I had a background in Italian. I could have just taken Spanish and it would have been much more of an easy fit. I had the easiest semester of my life, but I was up to like 1 a.m. studying French at the beginner's level because it jumbled up on
See, I'm going to stop you right there, and you fucked up by taking a language at all, because you could have taken Introduction to Linguistics, or it was called Introduction to World Languages, which satisfied your language gen ed and had the greatest professor of all time, Charlie Kaufman. Now, Brett, Doug, and I all took that, and it satisfied our language. So basically, it was like an intro linguistics course. It was great. So right then and there, you fucked up on that one. But anyway, go.
It was awful. Dude, it was so stupid. I was literally just like, oh, like Italian and Spanish are very similar. I'm sure that if I took Spanish, it would really confuse me. Let's take completely different French. Just like the most moronic fucking logic.
And that was exactly why I tried to find a way around taking an actual language, because I had heard people who had taken, the intro language classes had to put in so much work. Like, I was all about not doing work. Like, I was like, how little can I do to get by? And that's always been my mantra. I know it's like cheap, like it's work smarter, not hard. But like, no, like how little can I do to get by? Like, so I can go on and dedicate my energy to something more meaningful, because like taking an intro Spanish class is not enrich. Well, I say that, but it's like, yeah, that actually probably would have been beneficial. But like French, on the other hand, like bonsoir, like, you know.
And it shouldn't be a dying language, and I lament that, but it's a dying. It is.
Did I just say good luck? Isn't bonsoir like, isn't that, or is that another language? Bon bon is good, right? B-O-N.
Soir. I think it's. I don't think it's good luck. I think it's like goodbye or something.
Oh, well, whatever. Anyway, okay, yeah. Sorry.
Bottom line is rough. That was the first regret of my college career, and I only have two. The second regret of my college career is what I want to talk about. All right? We're at the Jackson Street house, 140 Jackson, where I live, okay? We had a keg for that evening. Not that it matters, but for the sake of it, we're all 21, okay? We're living off campus. We're throwing a little party.
Of course.
Jake Albus taxed this keg, okay? I love Jake. I still regret this.
He fucking sprayed it everywhere, right?
Yes. Okay. So, yeah. Freaking A, dude. I lament this so bad. So bad. Okay? It's you, me, and Jake in that basement. And Jake tapping this keg. He hits the thing. And he sprays himself. And Jake gets hot. He's just like, oh, this is my shirt, you know? And that's a little funny, but that's not, I'm not really laughing at that. Like, that sucks. You know what I'm saying? But he's just like, oh, this is my shirt. I'm going to go up and change. And so he goes up to change. And you and I fix the keg, okay? Jake comes back down in a new shirt, all right? And we literally, he's upstairs, we're downstairs. And we're literally just like, hey, Jake, we fixed it. And we're holding up, you know, the cups to show him. He's like, all right, good, thanks, you know? And I turn to you. And I say, like, Kevin. And you're just like, yeah. And I'm just like, Kevin, we have to loosen that tap again. So he sprays himself. And dude, I say it just like that. I say it with all the urgency in the world. Like, I might have even grabbed your shoulders, if I'm being honest about it. And you're just like, dude, I don't know. Like, that's really a dick move. And I'm just, and somehow you talk me out of like sabotaging him to spray himself again.
I don't remember that. I remember him spraying himself. I don't remember that second part. I don't doubt for a minute that it happens. The only thing that I doubt is like, I don't even doubt it, but I was like, I'm pretty sure that's like, that was me knowing my audience and knowing that he probably would have ruined the whole night if we would have gotten sprayed.
Yeah, that's true. Damn it. Yeah, but I wanted it so bad, and I don't think about it a ton. I don't want to give you the wrong idea, but like, I'm 31 years old, as we've said 4 times in this podcast. But like, I would say maybe like twice a year, I'm just like, that would have been really hilarious, you know?
What you need to do is don't they live out in like Montana now or something? Like, just ship him a can of beer that's like all shaken up and like like the Simpsons episode where like Bart puts Homer's beer in like the paint shaker. And
yes, indeed. Yeah, we'll put a little camera in it too, so it's just get like that real time. Oh, dude. So that sounds like such a stupid story, but I'm telling you, at least twice a year, I'm like, that would have been gold. That would have been gold.
The funny thing is like you say that now, and like, again, I don't remember the specifics of that, but like the way you say that, like, I'm like, I want to take this time to apologize if I stopped that, like, because that actually sounds like it would have been great, like, because he lived there, go up and get a new goddamn shirt, like, you know, like we'll spray with beer all night, like, you know,
you would have put a hole in me, I'm sure, but
no, dude, you know what, he deserved to get sprayed, like, when I think about it, like, just let him get sprayed.
That'd think we all deserve to get sprayed. I would hope that if I'm ever in that situation, somebody would spray me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, dude, exactly. I think we owe all of our friends that kind of moment. Kevin, I want to close this show with very quickly. I understand if you don't have profound thoughts about it, but anyone who participates in cap and gown basketball with me is someone that I love and adore to the ends of the earth and beyond. We covered on the show with Benny that one of my not so brilliant ideas, but ideas nonetheless, was that we should organize a basketball game while our fellow graduates are playing basketball together. And I organized this big old gosh darn Facebook event, and I invite, all graduates I think might be into it. And we wound up having, I think like a group of 8, but only 5 of them actually have the cap and gown.
Yep.
And we wound up playing basketball, which was I had no idea it would be that hot.
There was a tour that went through. I remember that. There was a tour that went through of like a college, like a high school senior, and it's like, here's us jackasses like in the wolf, like whatever you call it, like playing basketball in cap and gown. I remember your rationale was like, was something to the effect of like, we paid $40 for this. We might as well wear it for more than an hour. Like,
yes, dude. And I was literally just like, I love that group walking in because I'm like, they have to acknowledge that. Like they can't not acknowledge it, like
exactly.
Oh, it was so beautiful, man.
That was fantastic.
Kevin, man, I want to thank you so much for being here with me.
No, thank you. Sorry it took so long. I've been a little bit in flux as of late, so
getting used to that Philly life again, man. I'm happy you're back out there again, closer to your family. Philly is
the funny thing is, this is the first time I've actually lived in Philly proper, so it's definitely good. It's it's my type of city, so.
Right on, man. Kevin, is there anything else that you wanted to cover before we call it an evening?
Oh, man. I would just say, like, to you, like, you said one thing that will always stick with me, and it came front of mind as I was leaving New York. I remember you said this, like, when we were leaving college. I don't remember verbatim what it was, but it was something to the effect of, like, I'm not going to miss the people that I see every day because I'm still going to stay in touch with them. It's the people that I wish I had hung out with more or gotten to know better that I'm going to miss. And like that came front of mind, like when I was leaving New York, and like, it's one of those things that, 10 years later sticks with me, because you're the chief example of that. But it's funny how that has carried on in my life. And, as for actually doing something about it, that's a never ending project, but, this has been great. So thank you for talking to me.
Yeah, man, I had such fun. On a very serious note, I say to pretty much everyone who appears on this show, the point of this project is to bring to light and get to know in different perspectives on the people who have made me who I am. And that's not something that I say lightly.
Well, I was going to say, that's like, holy shit, like to have any type of impact.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's my point. Very much so. I'm not going to get too wax poetic about it.
Sure.
But certainly you're a person that has had a profound impact on me and someone that I'm very grateful
Likewise.
And shoot, man, I couldn't imagine my life without you. And I certainly can't wait to head on over to Philly and get to know the city a little better with you. All right.
Definitely. We will. We'll record a song together on the porch, even if it's not anything that requires intricate finger picking. Yeah.
Yeah, you bet. Yo, there's Julep by the Punch Brothers. I'm learning. Dude,
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, that's, if I learn a Punch Brothers song, I told my coworkers at work who put up with a lot because I'm a weird son of a gun. But I told my coworkers at work, and they're lovely, they're beautiful, talented. And I told them, hey, like, this is a song I've been working on. And they don't give a shit, you know? And I'm just like, they don't, you know? Like, I'm sure they don't. And, you know, I'm sure they like me in their own way, and I like them in my own way. But I'm like, yo, if I learned this song, like, we're going to have the socially distanced party of the summer. They're just like, cool, let us know. And I'm just like, all right. I'm like, okay,
Wait,
I will.
wait. Now, refresh my memory. Were you at My Morning Jacket last summer?
I was not.
Shit. Okay. All right. Well, so I recently, like, My Morning Jacket has been, like, on my, because, like, I was actually tonight, 1 year ago, I was at My Morning Jacket at Forest Hills. Fucking amazing. I've been trying to see them for like 15 years. And I finally made it happen. But like recently, thanks U2, like the song, like by them, like has been stuck in my head. I've been trying to like I want to be. Yeah, like been stuck in my mind. So I've been trying to learn that one, but it's like it's tough. It doesn't translate because it's like a full band song. It doesn't translate to like one person like trying to do it. But it's like, you know, you try and adapt. But yeah, maybe coming to an Instagram story sooner or later. But anyway, yeah, we'll put something together. We'll duo.
Yeah, I can't wait. Ears of Corn. This has been the Corn Chronicles. The search continues. This has been K Sweet, Kevin Montgomery, joining me here tonight.
There's a name I haven't heard in many years.
Indeed. Yeah, it's been about a week, right?
Right on.
All right, man. Thank you so much for coming. Ears of Corn. This has been the Corn Chronicles. Have a good night, everybody.
Be well.